Hello, Chelsea fans. Welcome back to Caicedo Baller. Today, we're breaking down Chelsea's FA Cup defeat to Brighton. This match was a real eye-opener, and we've got a lot to unpack. From the early moments to the final whistle, there's plenty to talk about. Let's get straight into it. Chelsea started strong, taking the lead in the first 5 minutes, thanks to Cole Palmer's scrappy finish. But after that goal, things went downhill fast. Brighton didn't have to do anything extraordinary. They played at half speed and Chelsea just couldn't keep up. Let's break down what went wrong. Let's talk about players who played well. They will be in our green box. Marc Cucurella, one of the few players who can hold his head up high after this match. His defensive work was solid, and he was one of the few players who put in consistent effort. Even when things were falling apart, Cucurella's willingness to battle was clear. His performance was a rare bright spot in a game full of disappointment. Let's talk about players who tried. They will be in our blue box. Trevoh Chalobah put in a valiant effort, even though the entire defense was exposed. He was there trying to block shots and organize the backline, but unfortunately, it wasn't enough. Chalobah's resilience was noticeable, but Chelsea as a team couldn't keep their shape, and Brighton capitalized on every mistake. Let's talk about players who didn't perform. Well, they will be in our red box. Let's talk about Christopher Nkunku. What a disappointment. Nkunku had the chance to make a statement in this match, but he seemed completely disengaged. His runs were ineffective, and his lack of contribution in the attack made it feel like he was a passenger rather than a player driving the team forward. There was no spark, no urgency, and certainly no goal-scoring threat from him today. Jadon Sancho. This is one of the worst performances we've seen from him in a Chelsea shirt. He struggled all game. His decisions in the final third were poor, his crosses were blocked, and he failed to offer anything meaningful going forward. Sancho seemed disinterested, and when your attacking players are flat, the entire team suffers. Malo Gusto, another player who had a night to forget. He was completely outpaced by Brighton's attackers, and Tak Lamptey and Moma ran circles around him. Gusto couldn't handle the pressure and was left chasing shadows for most of the match. He was unable to close down attackers or offer anything defensively, and this was one of his toughest matches for Chelsea so far. If you are enjoying this video, kindly like and share the video. Now, let's talk about Robert Sanchez. Honestly, he didn't inspire confidence. He wasn't decisive when it came to claiming crosses or organizing his defense. On the second goal, he was caught flat-footed and failed to make a meaningful contribution. There was also the issue of his poor distribution, which hurt Chelsea's ability to play out from the back. Now let's do a tactical breakdown. Tactically, this was another game where Chelsea lacked cohesion. They started with a positive intent, but didn't adapt when Brighton equalized. Brighton sat back and invited pressure, yet Chelsea failed to break them down. Maresca's tactics were too predictable, and the team struggled to create any space in the final third. Brighton didn't have to do much. They played their game, kept their shape, and waited for Chelsea's inevitable mistakes. After the early goal, Chelsea couldn't get any momentum. Brighton's response was quick, and they capitalized on Chelsea's defensive lapses. By the time Moma scored the second, Chelsea were already mentally out of the game. They lacked resilience. Once Brighton got the lead, it was clear Chelsea weren't going to fight back. It's time to talk about manager's influence. As for Maresca, this was a match that exposed his lack of tactical flexibility. There was no reaction to Brighton's changes. Chelsea lacked urgency, and the lack of adjustment made the game feel like a lost cause long before the final whistle blew. The manager has to take responsibility. The team lacked direction, and that's something that needs fixing. So, what do we take away from this match? Defensive weaknesses are still a huge problem. The attack looks out of sync, and there's no creative spark in the final third. Maresca's tactical approach needs to evolve. There was no reaction when Brighton turned the tables. Chelsea didn't even show up after the first goal, and when you don't show fight in a competition like the FA Cup, it's hard to justify any kind of hope. Chelsea's FA Cup dream is over, but the journey continues. What are your thoughts, Chelsea fans? What do you think went wrong, and how do we move forward from here? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and let's hear your match analysis. Also, don't forget to follow this page, like, and share this video with your fellow Blues. Thanks for watching Caicedo Baller. Stay tuned for more match breakdowns, insights, and all things Chelsea. Let's keep pushing forward.